Hey guys, if you can hear me, kindly indicate. Hello, if you are here, kindly introduce yourself in the comment part of this live session, your name, your startup name, so that we start. Hi Niso, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think the network is a little bit shaky this afternoon. Hi everyone, good afternoon. If you can hear us, please introduce yourself in the comment part of this session, your name, your startup name, so that we start immediately. Okay, so while we are waiting, let me quickly drop a message. Okay, so I've dropped a reminder. So good afternoon, everyone. If you are just joining in, kindly introduce yourself in the comment part of this live video. We want to meet you, your name, your startup name, and your location. So with me today, we have the CTO of Moontech Labs. Hi, Nizo, good to have you here. Nizo, can you hear me? Nizo, can you hear me? I think you are muted. We can't hear you. Maybe you can try rejoining again. Maybe your network.
Can you hear me
So,
now?
guys, if you are here, we want to meet. We want to meet you. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you speak up again?
And can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, nice to be on this session. Nice to be on this session.
Okay, but we want
I
you
think
to
it's
switch on
something with
your
my
video.
network.
Maybe you can try joining in again. Let's see.
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay, so guys, good afternoon. You are welcome to the Moontech Labs webinar on how to build a high performance team. Before we proceed, you guys already know Moontech. Some of you are already on the group. Moontech Labs is um, an accelerator and co-working space based here in Abuja, 𝗙𝗏𝗘. And we launched this session as a process to prepare startups ahead of our um, quarterly acceleration program. So we want you to get ready. We have criteria for choosing our startups. And for us to actually admit you, we even want you to get ready so that we can admit more people. So we want you, for example, this on high performance team. We want you to learn how to build a valuable and competent team that will help you build the startup of your dream. We see that a couple of people are joining on already. So we want you to introduce yourself, your name, your startup name, and your location. Elijah, we can see you. Please, let's have your introduction, name, location, and the solution your startup is creating. So let's get into it. So a couple of startups have reached out to us on the challenge of choosing a co-founder, or in fact I was still at a session yesterday by the Founders Institute Abuja, and that session coincidentally was still on co-founders and team building, what you should consider while you are choosing co-founders and the like. So it's practically the same thing that we spoke on yesterday. That's what we are doing again today. So let's dive into it. So for those joining, you can please keep introducing yourself and your location and your startup name. If you have any question in the course of the session, please feel free to drop your question in the comment part of this video. If you want to speak up, we can bring you up to the studio. You can raise up your hand in case you want to voice out your question. We can bring you up. So let's get into it. The aim of this session is to help you guys know how to build an effective and efficient team, a high performance team that would help you build a great startup. It's worthy of note that number one thing investors look at when investing in your startup is the team behind the startup. They check the founders market fit. There is what we call founders market fit. Are the founders fit to execute in this market? And I think I gave an example in the last session. For example, you are building a health tech startup, and all of you guys, nobody has a health background. You guys are likely not going to secure funding for that startup. You see people, maybe some people in law, some people in tech, some people from agric and all, and nobody has a background in health. There is a problem. So the reason for this is to help you, one, know how to build founders market fit, then two, high performance team. Now before we delve on, what is a high performance team? A high performance team is just a group of individuals with complementary skills that are aligned towards achieving a common goal with exceptional efficiency and effectiveness. I think I've mentioned this efficiency and effectiveness a lot of times. So number one thing you have to note in high performance team is that you guys have to have complementary skills. If for example you are building a health tech and you as the co-founder or the CEO, you have a background in tech, it is just common sense that you will get in other co-founders that will complement your skills as a tech person. You are building in health, you should have a co-founder or a member of your team from health. You should have someone from business that will help you for marketing. You should have maybe the COO who will help with operations. In fact, the core key C-level posts for every startup should have at the beginning, it's one, the CEO, of course, who will be running, overseeing the day-to-day affairs. Then the CMO. If you are building a product, you need to market it. If you don't market it, you don't have a business. Then if it's a tech enabled business, you will need a CTO, of course. Then of course you have the operations. If it's a business that is huge on operations, of course you have operations. Then the CFO, you need the CFO to support in the cap tables and all of those things. So in case all of you guys, nobody has a background in finance and all of those things, you need a CFO. Then you can add other roles as time goes on, the HR and all of those things. So my point here is that your team has to be complementary, not a team of people from tech. If all of you guys are from tech, I beg to you will build it with the mindset of a tech team. And most people in tech, they are more focused on the tech. They don't look at the business side of things when they are building. So I think Nizok has joined back. Let me quickly add him. So I hope you guys, if you can hear me, please indicate with your favorite emoji in the comment section. If you can
Yeah,
hear
to
me,
even
please.
contribute.
Nizo, I think your network, we can't hear you. Did you speak?
Okay, yes, I was saying to contribute to the what you talked about, the technical founders, being all technical founders is
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest pitfalls for with our technical people. All of a sudden you are so into the details of the technology and you're forgetting that, yeah, technology on its own is almost useless. Technology only makes sense when it's driving a business. So it's a loop that a lot of technical co-founders get into, just get focused on, oh, let's build this future, let's build out this future, and then you're forgetting that this is meant to drive a process. So yes, this is something I've experienced firsthand. So yeah, it's very important that your team complements each other. You have a CTO, you need to have a CEO who has experience in operations. If what you're trying to do has to do with marketing, or you need to have, people making sure that. So you need to know that, okay, there's need for someone with marketing skills. All of that. It just needs to be complementary, like the way you run a normal business. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Nizo, for the contribution. So, guys, if you have any questions in the part I've mentioned so far, you can drop your questions in the comment section. So, why I quickly finish the definition of high performance team. So, basically, I've mentioned complementary skills, which is one. Then, two, it is assumed that your team are aligned. Following the definition I mentioned about high performance team, I said high performance team is a group of individuals with complementary skills, one, and who are aligned towards achieving a common goal. Two, that's number two. Then three, with exceptional efficiency and effectiveness. Now, let's talk about alignment. Oftentimes, when people form teams, you see some persons among the team are not aligned towards the common goal. Now, if you as the founder or the CEO or whatever role you are holding, and you are getting in team members and they are not aligned towards the goal or the startup you guys are building, then there is bound to be friction. I'll repeat it again. You have to make sure that whoever you are getting into your team, they are aligned towards the common goal of your team. If not, there will be lots of friction. And alignment can be in terms of the goal, in terms of value. If, for example, you are someone that values integrity and honesty when building a business, and the other co-founder wants to make quick money, whether it's against your values or whatever, or the values of the organization, then there is bound to be issues. Now, let me quickly run down again the key characteristics of high performance team. Number one is clear goal and objectives. Communication is very important. Every member of the team needs to understand the vision and purpose of the problem this startup is solving. I can't remember where I spoke this, whether it was yesterday or day before yesterday at a program, but your goal needs to be as simple as the vision of most organizations. For example, Google wants to make information accessible to everyone everywhere. It's simple. Even a 5-year-old can understand that making information accessible to everyone everywhere. So it can be through building a Google search engine, or through helping you share information through Gmail, or through helping you share information through Meet, and all of those things. But then it is clear to everyone this is what we are doing. Then I think one of Elon Musk's company, I can't remember his company, but one of the companies, the mission is to accelerate I think the journey to sustainable sustainable um energy. I can't remember. I can't Nizo, can you remember his company? Nizo, can you hear me? I think Nizo is still having network issues. So my point is, you guys have to make your goals and objectives very clear, that even the smallest member of the team should understand it. Then two, there has to be shared vision and values. I've mentioned that. Then strong communication has to be open, transparent, and there has to be continuous dialogue. Then there has to be mutual trust and respect among team members. Then there has to be accountability, of course, and ownership. People need to own the responsibility of their contribution towards the company. So I've seen a couple of startups or a couple of businesses where people feel like they see it like a civil service job, where something that doesn't belong to my department is not my business. So if this role or this function doesn't fall under my role, then I cannot do it. So that's like a civil service mentality. So there has to be ownership and accountability in every startup if that startup would really go far. So what are the strategies for building a high performance team? Number one is cultivating a culture of trust and psychological safety. Before I quickly run through this, any questions? If you have any questions in what I've said so far, please you can send in your question, or you can raise up your hand. We can bring you up. Those that are joining in, please, we want to meet you guys. Joshua, Thompson, Elijah. Please, you guys can introduce yourself, your startup name, and your location, so that we know the startups here. So the strategies for building a high performance team. Number one is cultivating a culture of trust and psychological safety. So trust and collaboration is at the foundation of every strong team, and trust is built on openness, idea sharing, and people also owning their responsibility, right? So if people feel psychologically safe, and then they believe that they can gain the trust of the team, then they are open to give their best part to the organization. Then what are the practical tips for building trust? I've mentioned this before. Open communication. This will encourage honesty and transparency, and then consistent follow through. If organization makes a promise, they have to deliver on the promise. This helps to build credibility and trust. Then creating a psychologically safe environment. I've mentioned this before. This will encourage people that even have opposing views to the founders. Maybe the CEO wants a certain thing and another member of the team wants a different thing. If it's a psychologically safe environment, of course they will want to hear other people's view before the final decision is made. Then developing a ground for trials. I keep saying this. When you're starting a business, it's more like you are playing on a sandbox until you found the right market fit and the right business model, and the right everything actually, in terms of team, product, because you keep iterating till you get it good. Let me give you an instance. The money point you see today, that is said to be worth $1 billion didn't start as money points. They had the name Team Apt, and as at then they were doing a couple of other things. As at 5 years or 6 years ago or thereabout, when I was still in touch with Money Point, their name was Team Apt before they moved to Money Point. And then of course they had to streamline a lot of processes and a lot of trials that made them found the right product market fit. So you should normalize failures and mistakes and people making contributions. If you make your startup a fail safe place, people can make contributions without being criticized, whether they are making a mistake or is wrong or whatever. Then you should promote inclusive decision making. Let everyone have a voice in what's going on in the startup and the contributions. Let me quickly run through goals. So in establishing clear goals and expectations, the goals have to be clear. I've mentioned this in the introduction. Some of us already knows the ways to set goals: smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So all of these has to be built in when creating a goal for the organization, right? So I'm waiting for people to introduce themselves. I'm waiting. Okay,
Okay, even
Thompson.
talking about goals, is also important
Mm-hmm.
that goals are put in numbers. As a data scientist, I don't miss any opportunity to talk about numbers. So if you're building something and you see, okay, what you're building is it requires this number of this, you need to write those numbers down because okay, imagine you're setting up a team and then what you're building will require that you have people marketing it actively, maybe physically, or you require a more people to market on social media. If you don't write that down as numbers, you might just not properly recruit or build for that particular section in an optimal way. You might need more because you've written down that you want to achieve maybe 1,000 applications for something on your platform in Q1. You will know that you need to recruit more of marketers, or so it's better. I really encourage that you put numbers to the process for when you're setting smart goals.
Okay, thank you very much, Nizo, for the contribution. So he has mentioned the importance of numbers and data when setting goals so that you can easily track that. Then just quickly, smart goals specific, it has to be clearly defined goals, measurable, success metrics. As Nizo has mentioned, it can be numbers driven or data driven, so that if for example we want to close 20 customers by Q1, it is measurable. If we reach that goal, everybody know that we've reached that goal. So there has to be data or some numbers attached to it. Then it should be achievable. You cannot say you want to make $100 billion in Q1 where you are still at zero as at January, unless you want to do some magic. So if you are setting goals, it has to be achievable, realistic, and then within reach. Then relevant. Your goal should be relevant to your team. It should be aligned with the team and company's objectives. Then it should be time bound. It has to have a clear deadline that everybody is looking forward to. How to set and assign goals. Align team goals with the broader company goal. Whatever goal you are setting should be in line with the company goal. Then break down goals into smaller tasks. You cannot be chasing, let's say, $1 million, like you say you want by the end of the year you want to make $1 million. you have to break that down into activities. In fact, you have to break it down into monthly goals. So that bigger goal you are setting, for instance, you have to break it down into monthly goals, weekly goals, and even daily goals, things that will lead you to that bigger goal. So whenever you set a goal, you have to break down those goals into smaller activities that will bring you close to that goal for individual accountability. Then use objectives and key results or PIs to measure success. So you have to set KPIs to make sure that you are actually drawing close to that goal even towards the end of the year. So for example, you might set KPIs for Q1. At the end of Q1, this KPI, that if we achieve it still means that we are still on track towards achieving this bigger goal for the year. So you have to set some system or key result areas that will help you check what you are doing to make sure that you are still in line with the bigger goal. Then what are the techniques for setting clear expectations and providing feedback? One, you have to define roles and responsibilities explicitly. We understand that when you are starting a business, that maybe one person can handle a lot of things, but then it's also important to also define those roles and responsibilities so that I know that I own this role, I own this responsibility. Even if I'm open to supporting other roles, I know that this is my primary role. Then two, schedule regular check-ins to track progress. Some startups do their check-in every day, maybe every morning by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. They get like 15 minutes or 30 minutes to check in on what they probably achieved yesterday and set the goal for today, right? So you can do a daily check-in, a weekly check-in, or whatever to track progress on your goals. Then three, use real-time feedback loops instead of waiting for annual review. You have to set mechanism or system to get feedback to help you iterate on things instead of waiting for reviews, maybe quarterly reviews or annual reviews or whatever. So I'll stop here so that Nizo can continue with fostering effective communication and clear collaboration. Hey Nizo, over to you.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Pascal again. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to this session. So before I move forward with talking about communication, I still want to go back to where Pascal just spoke about. So there is a formula for this thing, and it's called agile. So if you want to be able to do everything that Pascal just explained, he talked about tracking. He talked about knowing how to apportion like those organizational goals to individuals, meaning you know that this goal is tied to this individual. You have that as an idea. So Agile really brings it really close to home. We might not bring it as a whole package, but if you if you take an agile approach to your startup development, you would have accomplished a lot of what he just explained. Because it will define things like how frequent you should do your check-ins. In startups, you can have daily stand-up sessions that just last 5 minutes. And it already has a structure. It has structure that helps you collect all the information within that 5 minutes. For a typical stand-up, you hear things like, "What did you do yesterday?" or "What did we achieve yesterday? What are we doing today? And what are we going to be doing tomorrow?" Then it will now also ask if there were any blockers. So it's like a format already that will help you get all the data you need to move to the next day. So if you want to, I will encourage that you take an agile approach to your startup development. Okay, so now we're talking about strategy number three. Strategy number three is about fostering effective communication and collaboration. So this is somewhere I think I have dabbled in this. I have practical experience to share. around effective communication. So one thing I can already bring forward is called active listening. So as someone who is building a startup, you need to be actively listening. It's very important. So you need to encourage, you need to build an environment where people can say things and not feel threatened, or an open work environment. It's very important as somebody who is building a startup. You need to be listening. Then constructive feedback. um you are going to get very uncomfortable with the kind of feedbacks that you will get. You might not like them, but as long as the feedback is constructive, it requires that you give it listening ear. Yeah, it's very important. Then clear communication channels. You need to define communication. If you're going to be using a third-party application, maybe you want to use Trello, you want to use Notion, you want to use Slack, you want to use even WhatsApp, anyone, just define it that this is our communication channel for this information, for this other kind of information. You can split it across different platforms, see, but just be clear about how communication should be, put through. Then, yeah, I already talked about collaboration tools, very important. Trello, Slack, Notion. We talked about Notion in our former session. Notion gives startups some form of credit to help with to give you access to all the features within the platform. So you can try Notion out. Then, finally, conflict resolution. So there will always be conflicts. You will have to have also a channel to help with resolving conflicts. So, though a lot of experience that I have, I will not say it's with startups, but it's with something what of a startup or a hub. And one unique perspective I can already bring to this communication thing is that if you look at a lot of the CEOs out there and the engineering managers and the CTOs are millennials. So millennials are stepping forward, to fill those roles. And if you're a millennial in this shoe, you're likely going to have Gen Z workforce. So it's interesting what you're setting yourself up for. When we say active listening, you need to be actively listening. I can reinforce that because a lot of your workforce now will be made up of people who want to really express themselves, who wants to have, the opportunity to say what the space in itself. It's not going to be somewhat traditional. It's going to have to bring in the flair of how your workforce wants it to be. So you need to be very adaptive to these new trends in working spaces already as a founder who wants to build a team. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. Pascal, you want to contribute to this one, or you want me to keep going?
No, you can keep going.
Okay, okay. So we talked about the tools. A lot of these tools, we encourage that you use internet-based tools. Migrate from legacy tools. You have startup that are still maybe wanting to send files, and you are still using legacy tools like maybe Microsoft Word. No problem against, no issue against that, but now you need to step up into a collaborative environment, meaning you need to come on the internet and collaborate over these tools. So it might require that you upskill yourself to be able to use some of these collaborative tools. Very important. So, and then all your tools, literally like the Notion and everything I spoke about, they all require internet. You need to be online to be able to optimize and fully use them. So it's very important that you don't stay legacy, but you come on the 21st century collaborative platforms. Okay. Okay. So also, talking about clear goals and expectation. I think I still have one more thing to say about that before we go to the Q&A session. For clear goals, a practical approach to clear goals would be a Gantt chart. So I don't know if you really know what a Gantt chart is. I'm trying to bring this as practical as possible so that you don't, just see it as something out there. So a Gantt chart is like a document that has your daily deliverables, not just your daily deliverables. It has your daily deliverables in there. It has the allotted time, starting this, ending at this time. It has the who this task is allotted to. Yes, it also has the priority of this task. Different tasks with different priority. You can have a task with a low priority, one with mid, one with high. So you need to have all of this captured in your Gantt chart. And you have some of these platforms that can give you this Gantt chart and even add things like email reminders, meaning when this task is supposed to be done, when it's supposed to start, it sends an email to you telling you this is your task. Please start this task. When the task is maybe even 70% supposed to be done based on the number of days that has been set, it can send you an email telling you you're supposed to be 70% done. So are you 70% done? Then when it's 100% done, it also sends you a message saying, you're supposed to be done by now. So Gantt chart also brings it really close to home. If you can set up a Gantt chart and work with it for your daily deliverables as a startup, it really helps. Okay. So I think we are in Q&A. Pascal.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, if you have any question based on what we've mentioned so far in terms of building your team, I'm sure a couple of you guys, I see Anakazo Engineering, Joshua Isaac, um, Elijah, Faith, and others. So I'm sure you guys are building teams in your businesses. So based on what we've said so far, if there are challenges you are facing in terms of building the right team or building the right workforce for your business, or in relation to what I have said or what Nizo has mentioned, if you have any question at all, you can indicate to ask your questions or type in your question in the comment part of this session. So we are doing these sessions to even help you to build the foundational part of your business before we have the actual accelerator program. We'll be opening the application for accelerator program very soon. So, but then we want you guys to be ready for it so that we are not helping you to start from scratch. We want you guys to start something and then qualify for even the accelerator program because there are criteria to select people. So this is an opportunity for you to ask all your questions and prepare yourself for the actual accelerator program. We after the training, we give you access to a lot of resources and some other insights on how you can raise funds. So we still talk about that much later. But then for this session, if you have questions, this is the time to ask your questions. And then if you are yet to join our WhatsApp group, the link has been pasted in this comment section is on the screen. So you can copy the link to join our founders group. You are free to also invite other founders. You can share it on your WhatsApp status to invite founders into the Moon Tech Labs startup community. So we are waiting for you guys. Any questions? If there are no questions, we'll round up the session immediately. Okay, so while we are
Okay.
waiting for questions, Um, okay, Nizo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I really encourage that you join our WhatsApp community, because we're going to be giving access to both, like you said, funding, and we'll also give you access to technology. We're going to be bringing our experience of building both hardware and software solutions to the table for you guys to, gain from it. So please join the community. Then, still talking about data, I just want to reiterate again how important it is to the general goal setting of a company and how it affects your recruitment process or how you are building your team. So, like I said, it's important that you put numbers to your goals. So when you put numbers to goals, it gives you a clearer picture of the needs that you currently have for your startup. So there are wants and there are needs. So with that, you are building a team that is relevant for the current needs of your startup, which is very important in helping with things like optimization for, say, spending and just generally optimizing your startup because you're building per what you need. You're not, and because you don't even have resources to spread around, so you're actually, you know, making do with the resources that you currently have around you. So please and please put numbers to your OKRs, put numbers to your your goals as a business, and then use those numbers to build your team. I think that's my closing.
Okay, so I think there is a question. Elijah asked a question. Okay, let me just quickly drop the studio link too. If you have a question you want to voice out, you can join in the studio and then we'll bring you. So, Elijah asked a question: how can a startup without a market promote its first product? Hmm. This is an interesting question. Nizo, do you want to answer this or I should go first?
Okay, let me go. This one is interesting. I
Okay.
like it. So, a startup without a market promotes its first product. So, my first advice for you, you might have to do the education for this your customers, your intended customers. You're a startup. You don't even know where your market is. So, you need to put out a lot of educational materials. You need to educate people on what you are building. So what you should be doing at this stage should be explaining yourself. Try as much as possible to tell people that, oh, this is what I'm building. This is what it does. This is how you use it. This is how. So with that, you can now start understanding who your market is, and then you know how to target your product promotion. So for whatever you're doing, start educating your audience. I think that's the first step for you to go. Over to you, Mr. Pascal.
Okay, thank you, Nizo. So, how can a startup without a market promote its first product? So, if you are saying that you don't have a market, there is already a problem because from the actual outset, you are meant to build for a market. You don't go and build a product and then bring it to the market. You are supposed to build a product to solve the problem for a specific market. For you to have been to say that you want to promote your first product without a market means that you even went to build the product outside without your market input, which is a problem. So number one is that you need to be certain of your market. So let's assume you've already built the product. Now you have to go back to those you think that need that product, to have them to test the product to make sure that if it's actually what they need. Okay, he's saying I meant consumer markets. Whether it's a consumer market, it still means people that will buy your product. Or maybe Elijah, you can join in with the link so that you explain yourself. whether it's a consumer market or a buying market, it's still the people that will still buy your product. So what you need to do is to do a market research, which is the first thing you would have done, to know where these people congregate. If you are building for, let's say, pregnant women, for example, you already know where these people are likely to congregate. They go for, what's it called, the antenatal stuffs, and there are some organizations that even host pregnant women and all of those things. So if you know where you're, if you are building for students, you are building for, if there are university students, of course you have to go close to the university to get feedback on that product. So I don't understand the nature of your product you are talking about, whether it's a software product or a hardware product. But if you would like to join to ask your question, the link has been dropped. If not, so I think the first thing you need to do is to do a market research to know the people you are even planning to sell to. That's very important, because after building a product and there is no market for it, I think we said this at the last session, minimum viable product. So you don't go and start building something for a market that doesn't exist. You have to build from the basics with your market so that you reduce cost, and then there is speed in you assessing the market. So you have to go back, know the market you want to sell to, have more information about them, and iterate to your product to fit that market. It's very important. You cannot build a product outside of your market. You have to be close to them so that you build a product that fits what they are looking for, or they will even give you the information that this is actually what they want, which might even be different from what you are building entirely. So the, in summary, answer to this question is to go back to the market to do your market research. That will feed you with the information to iterate the product for the market, so that you don't go looking for a market for a product that you built. Okay, I see that Joshua just joined. Joshua, do you have a question?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this for putting this together. I just wanted to contribute to the question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's from my little experience. It's very very strange with the kind of Nigerian market we have. We know each other. To be able to get people to believe in whatever services you are rendering or whatever product you are giving, they need to see something. So I think that's why we have. It's very important to define, like Nisa was saying, defining your goals is very important. And I think one of the most important thing why in any startup is MVP. So that of an engineer, just keep it simple. Get the basic, the core function of your product. I think if you have the MVP ready, you can easily uh, reach out to people easily, because when people see, you speak less. You understand? So I'll make reference to a series movie called Silicon Valley, right? So the guy they've been working on a software, and a more huge company used the guy's solution. You understand? The guy was careless at some point, and then the big company built a lot of things because they have the resources to it, right? And then the guy became handicapped, so he had to rebuild the product, and he could win the hackathon because they just want to see functionality. They couldn't really comprehend what the guy was saying because it wasn't sounding okay. But the guy saved a lot of explanation because the MVP was there. So I think MVP will save you a lot. So if you think, and if you're not ready yet, I think it's still okay to keep researching. If you need to join an organization that will help you achieve this, you can. But MVP saves a lot of explanation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the contribution, Joshua. Thank you very much for the contribution. So I think Joshua has contributed a lot to your question. Elijah, I hope that's clear, or you have another question.
Okay, no. I what I meant by market was a startup that is just coming out fresh, that does not have like a base yet to like market to. That was what I meant by a market. Not like, of course, solutions, they are made for people generally, but like what I meant was that how to advertise, like the advertising line, how to reach people with the product. That was what I meant, because like it's very competing out there, and I don't know, it's not really easy getting products out, getting stuff out without resources to market. That was what I meant.
So Elijah, if I will interject and ask you, can you just explain what you're building? This is a platform, so you can just go ahead and tell us this is the solution and everything, so that we'll have perspective to what you're. Or does he
Okay.
have IP?
Sure, I didn't get like IP.
Intellectual property, in case you don't want to give out
No,
intellectual
no, it's
property
nothing.
information.
No, it's nothing. I'm just saying, like, for example, a startup that is not yet known. Okay, okay. Now, if Microsoft decides to put out a product today, the world is going to hear about it. You understand? I'm not saying for a startup that does not even have a name that nobody knows about, how do they get their product out there? That was what I meant.
Okay, okay.
Because
There are so
that was
many right now. Number one is social media. Social media is not too expensive. Even your current family, you can start with your current family, from family to friends to social media. You can't say that it's before you even go out there and people are willing to now do more. You need to have done the basics. Have you done the basics? Have you told your immediate environment? Have all the social media accounts set up? Are you putting out content according to an agreed calendar? So if you have all this figured out, then you can gradually grow and then look for funding that you can now say, okay, now I have funding. I can now apportion a certain budget to marketing to further push my product out there. I don't know if I'm giving any insight to your question, Mr. Pascal. To
I guess.
you,
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think you can start from social media. Social media is a very strong tool if you utilize it very well. So as Muzel has mentioned, of course, your first customers might be those around you. With that, you can create the um, feedback that these are people you've created this solution for. Maybe 5 people that maybe you did it for free, just to get feedback and all of those things, to push online that this product is actually working. With that, you can market your product. But then the social media is a very strong tool. And as I mentioned, know the market you are solving for. You know where to get them, whether it's on Reddit. In fact, there are lots of forums that you go to, you get the market you are looking for. So whether it's a Facebook group or a forum, Reddit, Twitter, or whatever, like there are forums that you go to and you find the market you are looking for. So number one is defining the kind of people you are searching for. You can create a buyer, what do they call it? Like an explanation of the kind of buyer that you are looking for. This person is maybe 40 years, they are working, and they need this and they need that. Like you have to create a prototype of the exact person you are
buyer
targeting.
persona.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you have to create a prototype. So this will inform you to know where you get to meet these people. And then you have more information on their challenges, their hopes and dreams and all of those things. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Elijah. So guys, Means that we can round up. So since there's no other questions, I think we round up here.
Okay, so thanks to everybody for joining this session. It's very impactful. Even I learned some things from today's session. So thanks, guys. See you guys another Thursday, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day. See you next time. And remember to join our WhatsApp group. Bye everyone.
Bye.